You son of a bitch!
Priscilla, aka Priss S. Asagiri from the Bubblegum Crisis franchise. I picked this character because I like her hair. More on that later. In the city of Tokyo 2032, there's out-of-control robots called boomers and a group of women known as the Knight Sabers who go out and destroy them. You know, in the first episode, people had no idea these heart suits were worn by women. I mean, dude, how can you not tell? Have you seen those sexy curves? You know it takes a real woman to walk in those high heels, especially in cosplay. Oh yeah. When Priss is working, she is the lead singer of the rock band known as the Replicants. But at night, she puts on her heart suit and becomes a Knight Saber, keeping the city safe from the renegade machines. Given her role as a Knight Saber and a rock star, Priss sort of has a superhero thing going on.
Bubblegum Crisis has been, and continues to be, very influential to other works across many mediums, such as Disney's hit film Big Hero 6.
I fucking knew it! Out of the 4 members of the Knight Sabers, Priss can be considered the Raphael of the group as she gets angry. She's often wearing red, and she rides her own customized motorcycle, and she swears.
Ow, shit! Don't you assholes even know how to have an accident? You sorry bitch! I'm gonna kick your evil bastard!
Come back here! I'm not finished with you!
Damn!
Whoa, manly! She tends to do things by herself, sometimes behaves immature or rude. She's so badass and doesn't take shit from anyone. Priss surprisingly has a motherly side towards children, great passion for saving lives, and fighting against corruption from evil businessmen. But what's her motive? At some point in her past, boomers killed her friends, and that's all we get. There's not even a visual or a flashback about her history, so we just have to take her word for it. Because of this, her motive for being a Knight Saber is fueled by hatred of boomers, similar to Joe the Condor from Gatchaman, who battles for vengeance.
Why do you hate boomers?
Boomers destroy everything. Nobody likes them. Lots of my friends were killed by boomers. Boomers are puppets, programmed only to kill. And as long as such things exist...
Those would be combat boomers, like the ones we met earlier. I'm different because I possess Dr. Haynes' special AI.
Yeah, I know full well you're not like other boomers, but just because you're different doesn't mean I have to like you.
That's prejudice.
However, in the second episode of Bubblegum Crash, Priss has to take care of a very advanced boomer, which became one of my favorite episodes since it felt like a cross between the Terminator and Short Circuit. In this episode, Priss starts to view boomers in a different light, which manages to strengthen her resolve and allows herself not to be obsessed with tragedy. There's other episodes which shows Priss go through some hardship, but her moments are always very brief, and later episodes rarely even mention these past events. The biggest flaw to Priss as a character is not having enough time to explore her. Originally, Bubblegum Crisis was meant to be a 13-episode series, but it never reached that length. While 3 extra episodes from Bubblegum Crash helped Priss grow, there's still not enough focus on her. By default, Priss does receive the most attention of the main cast, but it's not exactly in the highest of priorities within the episode content. In contrast, all of the promotional artwork for this OVA series seems to give this expectation that the story would be all about Priss. There's an outrageous amount of pictures that feature Priss as the poster girl or the face of the series, yet it's a bit underwhelming how she doesn't live up to the promos. Whether it's a pic that's all to herself or a shot with other Knight Sabers, Priss still manages to be the center of attention, and sometimes she really is in the center of attention, but not in the anime. Bubblegum Crisis is womanly and more fun when all the Knight Sabers are together, as opposed to being separated. In the 90s, there was a reboot named Bubblegum Crisis Tokyo 2040, but Priss doesn't really feel like Priss in that series. From what I remember watching it, 2040 Priss received even less attention, which makes all the promotional ads just as misleading as the original OVA. The only things I remember from 2040 is Priss being rewritten in an attempt to be cooler by having this angry loner attitude, but it just made her an unlikable bitch. Yeah, the original Priss could get bitchy, but I like my girls bitchy, but she wasn't against showing a smile every now and then or just being friendly to people. But in 2040, oh, this Priss doesn't have that same energy. She doesn't even change outfits when she's singing.
Yes, one thing it did right was giving the characters greater backgrounds and showing more of the character interactions. Problem, not only did it up their personalities beyond all recognition, but despite giving them more depth, the characters are more generic stereotypes than ever.
Yeah, there's...
You have, well, okay, Priss, very complex character in the original. She's tough. She definitely has some soft spots, though. She's independent without being, you know, crazy or man-hating. In Tokyo 2040, she's a straight-up bull dyke.
If you read the full of Zatai, they go into a lot how Lina is brought to the fore in 2040, which is a mistake.
Yes.
Because Priss was interesting. Priss was fun. The rock and roll singer with who's a badass robot superhero in the spare time, that's a great character.
When I look at 2040 Priss, all I see is an edgy, angsty, rebellious, immature riot girl. While 2033 Priss, I see badass riot girl rocker like Joan Jett. These Prisses are similar in name, but not in fame. And speaking of Joan Jett, I'm gonna end this video with some speculations and opinions. Also, what's your favorite Joan Jett song? I like Real Wild Child, even though it's a cover. Well, I hope that comment didn't give me a bad reputation. Similar to the previously mentioned number 18, Priss's womanly appeal comes from her appearance and her voice, specifically in English, which I include both Christine Otten and Cinda Nichols. To me, what makes Priss so womanly is her character design, which then leads to some comparisons to the 1982 film Blade Runner, starring Indiana Solo. Priss juggles her life as a Knight Saber and as a rock star, which is all introduced in the first episode, and right off the bat there's a couple of things referencing Blade Runner. For starters, her band's name, the Replicants. In Blade Runner, replicants are advanced strong biorobotic androids who assume the form of humans, whose purpose can be used in either war or other duties. Likewise, the Boomers and Bubblegum Crisis seem to have the same function. And like the plot of Blade Runner, they disobey orders and are difficult to find because of their human appearance. Given how dangerous they are, replicants must be destroyed, which leads to the main character having to do a little investigating until, boom, confrontation. Admittedly, Bubblegum Crisis is more action-oriented than Blade Runner, and it doesn't have the same feel or the themes of the movie. It's noticeable with the opening scenes, as Bubblegum Crisis features the hit song Konya wa Hurricane, or There's a Hurricane Tonight, in contrast to something like this. Actually, I think Gotham Knight in Darkness Dwells is closer to Blade Runner's opening scene. Another comparison to Blade Runner is Priss's own name. In the film, a replicant is named Priss, but she doesn't resemble Bubblegum's Priss. Instead, Priss' anime appearance seems to be based on a different Blade Runner character, being Rachel, as shown through her spectacular hairstyle. Priss' on-stage look might be based on the replicant Priss from Blade Runner, but I have some speculations about that design, and if I'm correct, this may boost her womanly points. I think both designs of Priss, the brunette and the blonde, are modeled after the members in the band The Runaways, being Joan Jett and Cherie Currie. In episode 1, Priss seems to be wearing a jumpsuit similar to the style of Joan Jett when she was in The Runaways. The same could be said to her rocker style, which is kinda similar to Cherie Currie's on-stage performances. And seeing how The Runaways were popular in Japan, it leads me to believe that I might be onto something. As far as I'm aware, there has been no connection between The Runaways and Bubblegum Crisis, so this is purely my own speculation. I think the most womanly thing about Priss is expressed through visuals, be it either animation, promotional anime images, or even the original artwork by Kenichi Sonoda. But I really think the most important thing about Priss's character design is her hairstyle.
You're serious?
Yeah. Priss's hair is so fucking cool, and hairstyles are important. Why else would I draw this crazy stuff? Okay, I was thinking of a spider, but it kind of resembles Aku's head. No, don't fuck my daughter, samurai! The image you see on screen is probably Priss's most iconic photo, and I think this summarizes her womanly traits pretty well. Let's get a little analytical about this composition. We have the upper body with a smile expressing something pretty, but her lower half is covered in machinery, meaning hard and tough. Her right hand is carrying a knife looking ready to stab someone. Her left hand is armed with a gun, and her hair is so 80s. As she's holding these weapons, Priss is smiling while the position of her leg is done in a cheerful, energetic pose. And for the longest time, I always thought her left hand was wielding a hair comb. So in my viewpoint, what I thought made this picture so badass was the idea of busting out a knife while combing your hair. Womanly! From a distance and the position of placing her hand over her hair, I just assumed it was a comb until I zoomed in and noticed it. It was a gun. Oh, okay. The picture is still cool, but I think it would have been so much cooler with a hair comb. What do you say about my hair? It's so badass! This is also the biggest reason why I don't like 2040's Priss. She got rid of her stylish hair. I think it's a proven fact when an 80s character changes their hairstyle, the redesign falls apart.
Priss was groundbreaking.
Yep.
She was deep-voiced. She was raspy. She swore. Priss moved female characters as far forward in anime as Cutie Honey moved them forward in the 70s.
Right.
Back then, the most womanly anime were Dirty Pair and Bubblegum Crisis, which were some of the most sought-after anime of that time, especially in North America. You can even find VHS tapes and laserdiscs of these series. I'm pretty sure obtaining these back then would cost a lot of money, especially for subtitled versions. What I'm trying to say, they're a symbol of the 80s, and Bubblegum Crisis expresses it to the max, especially with their soundtrack. If you want some badass music while seeing girls wreck some boomers, then look no further than Bubblegum Crisis.
If I'm gonna die, I'm going to die fighting.
No more running away!
Better to die as proud women.
Womanly!
All right, son, come on in. Mr. Rindo, you prefer to be called Ronmaru, is that right?
It's Miss Rindo. I love karate! My dream is to bring back my father's martial arts dojo that closed down after he went bankrupt.